Hey, Gaybros.
Hey, Gaybros Jose.
Where are we today?
We are at Sodini's, which is not in Menlo Park.
It's not in Menlo Park. It's not in San Francisco. It's not in Chicago. So
We're in a new location.
we are expanding our horizons. You know, it's weird because every single time that I come back, we tend to record or at your place or at the Lone Star. So there is an explored territory for us.
I was trying to think. So when I got into my car today, it said 25 miles. I was like, when is the last time I went 25 miles from my house?
Well, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. It took 30
really
minutes. So.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate it in any case. But yeah, I'm visiting the West Coast for some days, and we decided to actually just like record in person instead of doing it online. And what did we watch for this occasion?
This was your pick.
And from your tone, I feel like you have feelings about it.
It's called Night is Short, Walk On Girl. There's actually some controversy about what it's actually called because the Japanese translation is something more poetic. The line in the movie is something like, "The night is but a short one, walk on, young maiden."
Oh.
And then they released it as Night is Short, Walk On Girl, but some people are adding an article, The Night is Short. So, that's what we watched.
I actually, every single time that I talk about this movie, I always add the article. Yep, I'm bro. Yep. I'm like part of the problem here.
You are.
The reason why I asked you to watch this movie is because I watched this movie when it was released, like 6 years ago, I think, in 2017, and I remember liking it, but not liking it for a very deep experience, more from a visual appealing exercise. And then I watched a couple of other things by this director. He has an anime show on Netflix that he created like for Netflix, or Netflix bought the license, and it's like everything that he does is always interesting and visually appealing. So I was meaning, it was on HBO Max, and I was meaning to rewatch it for a very, very long time. So I just use it as an excuse for forcing you to watch more anime.
And you are my gateway to anime.
Yep.
Which is very useful because it's not my genre, but you know my taste pretty well. Mm-hmm. Except when it comes to Night is Short. No, I'm just joking. Right. I didn't hate this movie.
Right. So, what is this movie about? Before we get into if you hated it or not.
So this movie is about a lot. It's kind of like a Japanese Fantasia, which is what we were talking about, which is funny.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's an animated film. It's about a young girl, young boy. They don't give them names, but they're called Kohai and Senpai.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, like young maiden and senpai. Yeah. I think they call it like young girl all the time. They only mention maiden a couple of times because I think that maiden sounds very from another time.
It doesn't have a good translation.
Yeah.
So they're at the same restaurant.
Yeah, like in some kind of a celebration, like a wedding celebration.
Yeah, and so Senpai is in love with Kohai and wants to express his love to her. But then, like, a lot of stuff happens, and I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, he's trying to play it cool, so he always runs into her on purpose, but he sells it as a coincidence. So then what we see is, like, basically like a night, quote-unquote, on the life of this girl. That is almost like a year in disguise of just a single night where a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah, chronologically it's one night, but it feels like a long time. And so
it's like a year in one night. You have like 4 seasons actually.
Yeah, it's true. There's 4 chapters. In the first, she has like a superpower of drinking. So she meets a guy at a bar. At first she thinks he's insightful, and then it turns out he's a pervert.
Yep.
So she punches him, and she meets some intellectual friends, and they go crash people's parties. Then she starts a drinking game with like a god, where like
something like that, yeah.
Like a supernatural creature. She wins because she can put it away.
Yep.
And then there's a chapter where she has to find a book. She and Senpai separately have to find a book from her childhood. Is that where they have the drinking game? But then the god...
the eating contest.
There's the eating contest.
Yeah.
And then the god of used book markets shows up.
it's surreal. There's like a lot of stuff that happens. So it's like if there are like 4 chapters, it's like the first one is drinking. You know, it's like a crazy night out where a lot of stuff happens. It connects to the used market night that it would be like the summer. Then it will be like into the fall, that it will be like the high school cultural festival, that it turns into a fucking musical, and then it's the winter, that is the cold, that is like the cold where everyone has, like in the city, they have a cold that they actually originated in the festival.
Yeah, and I mean, I could describe more because there's a lot here, but it's not really that useful in that, like, it's not helpful to describe Fantasia to anyone. You just kind of have to see it.
Yeah, you're for the ride. You're here for the ride.
And then ultimately, after the 4 chapters, you kind of... The film re-enters into reality, and you see that Senpai and Kohai have a sweet moment.
Yep.
The end.
Yep, that's it. So, before you say if you like it, you said already that you didn't hate it. When we go to the musical part, I have forgotten that part. And I look at my boyfriend that's watching, and he's like, dude, Blake is going to hate this shit. It almost feels like I just pick it on purpose for just pissing him off.
So, my husband was not watching it with me, but he was walking through the living room. And
like, what?
He just happened, he was like, this is such a weird cartoon. And then they started to sing, and he's like, it's a musical? And I was like, apparently,
right
because I
now?
forgot to mention that.
Right now it is.
I appreciated this film. It's a ride.
Yep.
It's not, like you said earlier, particularly deep, and it did take me a second to get back into the visual language of Japanese animation, which, for me, if I haven't watched it in a while, it takes a second.
Oh, that's it.
But overall, I liked it. I didn't understand it. I don't know why drinking was such a big part. Like, I didn't...
Well, the thing is, if you think about Japanese people, is that they don't put up with alcohol that well. So the idea of someone being able to drink a lot is like someone really special. Not because they were special, like chosen by God or anything like that.
It's an uncommon thing.
It's an uncommon thing, like a really uncommon. So it's that they put it like to the absurd about like, hey, she's going to be like having like all of these crazy adventures that most of the people that in Japan probably is that they have like 2 drinks and then they have to be careful not to fall in front of a subway and die.
Yeah.
So they sell that kind of fantasy, you know, about like, and they also have like all of the cultural stuff on top of it, you know. So I like it. I was wondering how you feel like compared to Bacchanal. I feel like there is a lot of cultural stuff.
I'm sure that I missed a ton, but different than Bacurau, there's enough to see a movie without knowing whatever you don't know. Bacurau, there wasn't.
Okay, that's true. It's a bit more that you're telling me that if I know something about your country, I may be able to appreciate this in a deeper way. I don't know anything about your country, so I'm not appreciating anything.
Yeah, like there's a scene very early on. In fact, I think it may be the first scene where we see Kohai at the wedding, the celebration, and she's talking to her noodles. I think they're noodles, but they're stylized. And she's like, I want to have my own relationship with alcohol, not what my elders want. And I was like, when I started to drink, I never thought about my elders, and I was like, okay, so there's going to be some cultural things that I'm going to miss the cues, but it, in my opinion, it didn't. It was still a fun ride.
Yeah, you could also appreciate it. What did you think about the aesthetics? There are a couple of scenes that I really like that have been like over cartoonies, and I think that this guy did like some of the movies of Shin-chan. I don't know if there was like a famous character here, but it was huge, the cartoon in Spain. And it was like a bit more of a crayon drawn, you know, like very stylized, like the faces don't make any kind of sense or anything, and then the guy is like a Bart Simpson, but power up.
Okay.
And the thing that I was considering, what I was going to say is like I really like the drawing style on some of the scenes. That they always have like the ones when he's like imagining about like, oh, I'm just running into you out of coincidence. That they don't have like a face or anything. That everything is like 4 colors and super stylized. But then the rest, something that I felt is like it doesn't try to be realistic in any kind of way or stylized. It's like completely flat colors. And like he doesn't try to be like grounded in reality. It's everything like just like pretty weird like angles. It's a bit more about like I want to paint a dreamy wall that it makes no sense, but that these characters are thrown into it and they're going to be like living through it. Like when they have like the nightmares scenes in the 4 acts, it's like nothing of that makes sense.
Yeah, so at first I didn't like it. I thought this... It's not that I have criticism of it because I don't know much about the genre, but like I was like, this is not aesthetically pleasing to me. But then as I figured out that what you just said, like this isn't... It wasn't meant to be grounded in reality. Then I started to like it a lot more, and it actually felt a lot like the discreet charm of the bourgeois to an extent. Like at the very end, it's close to the nightmare scenes where all of a sudden you're kind of like witnessing a UN meeting, and it just like goes on, and they're talking about policy and stuff, and I was like, oh. I get it. Like, this is weird looking, and it matches what they're going for, I think.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
Yeah. No, I liked it too. I expected to like it a bit more because I had like pretty, I don't know, like fond memories of it. It's not bad by any means, but it was more like, oh, okay. I think that I like the first act like more than the others, like the drinking part.
I did like it when it was more grounded in reality. Like that final scene, I was like, oh, I like connect with this scene.
Yeah, no, the last scene when she's actually going to the house and basically like an odyssey from a Greek tragedy, I found that it was cool at that part. I mean, I felt a bit weird, spoiler alert, but it's like a 6-year-old movie and I don't think that most people are going to watch this. I felt a bit weird that there is no real interaction between them. It's like he's always chasing her up, and then at the end it's a bit more about her fighting for being with him.
It's a little stalkery.
Yeah, if it's at the end about like, hey, I don't know really why you feel attracted about this guy because you guys haven't, I don't know, like interacted in this night that was a year.
I could be wrong, but I feel like that's kind of a theme in Japanese media, is the longing from afar, like the deep love from afar. I don't know. But it's
right.
Especially if we found out like they were 16-year-olds. I mean, I think they mentioned college, so...
Yeah. Well, the thing is like the drinking age in Japan is 18, if I recall correctly. I think there used to be 19 and they dropped it like recently to 18. I mean, I was checking what I was watching. This is like way the girl that is like drinking like a, I don't know, like a vacuum cleaner.
She's like 18.
she's not even 18. It's like, what the heck is going on here? And Japan usually tends to be like very, I don't know, like following the rules. So I felt like I'd be surprised about that part.
Like I have this idea that like, probably because of my husband, that like Japanese people work 100 hours a week and then drink the rest of the time, and then they die at their desks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's like, they work 100 hours, then they go out with the idea of drinking like all night long, and then after a couple of drinks, it's like...
No?
Nope. I mean, that's the reason why Asahi and other Japanese beers are so light in alcohol.
Sake is wine, and it has 15%.
15.
It'll get you fucked.
It'll get you
but they
fucked,
do drink
but
it
they
at
don't.
a...
Yeah. I mean, just think it's like, how many degrees is my lord?
I think I need to order some more. I'm in Chicago.
Yeah, I think that if you actually just turn a lighter from here, the one that you have at your car would actually just like explode.
I can taste the grapefruit from here.
The grapefruit. I don't know if
That's
I would
what
call
two
it that.
bartenders said. No, it just tastes like grapefruit. That's the taste you taste. And I was like,
What kind of grapefruit do they eat? Is like from the gutter?
it tastes like licking. Well, no. Anyway. I liked it. I also expected a little bit more, only because you've recommended me like the best of anime.
Yeah, there was a bit more of a wild guess.
Yeah, which
it was
was
not
fine.
like Akira. It was not like a, how do you say, like Millennium Actress. This was a bit like, I like this one.
And it's
But I
experimental as fuck.
Yeah, it is. And it's like I like the style. I like the narrative is a bit weaker, but it's like visually super appealing. It's a ride, and it's like there is a value to movies that they are like just a ride. It's not about like every scene like making sense or anything. It's just enjoy what is happening in front of you. I think that is a good movie to watch high.
I agree, and I was high for part of my viewing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, over the questions?
Yes, let's do it. All right, I have the questions pulled up. Jose,
Yeah.
would you watch this again?
I think so. Not tomorrow, but I would definitely eventually watch it again.
I'm going to say my answer is not no, so I'm going to say yes. It's not like I didn't like it, but I'm not going to seek this out again.
No, I mean that's fair. Is it gonna create like that impression?
Would you recommend this?
I recommended it to you a couple of times. I still think that this is a movie that I would recommend. That is, I want to see something highly stylized with a very strong aesthetics, even if it doesn't make 100% sense. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to put no, because if I were to recommend anime to someone, I would just recommend like Requiem for a Dream to anyone I
I
knew.
fucking hate you so much. I should have never told you that. Did we watch Perfect Blue?
We did, yeah.
We did.
No, my real answer is still no, just because I don't know that much about anime, and the other films you've introduced me to are the ones I would recommend first.
I may know more people that they like anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like I would be like, don't watch this movie.
No. You wouldn't.
Will you remember this?
I think so. I have forgotten. I remember that it was like 4 seasons, and that it was a year. I don't remember the 4th act. I don't remember that at the end they end together, but I only remember like the musical and the drinking part. I don't remember like the use book God theme. It was weird.
My answer is no, because this is the exact sort of movie that in 2 years from now we'll be drinking at a bar and you'll be like, you've seen that movie, Blake, and I'll be like, no, I haven't seen that movie, and like, look, it's in the spreadsheet.
That's fair, and there is a recording of us.
Is there anything artistic about it?
Oh yeah, definitely there is a lot, I would say.
Yeah, for me too. I mean, it's visually super interesting, it's experimental, it's weird, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean the music part, the musical is something else, but whatever.
But it took a risk in that chapter, and I think it wasn't. In fact, when my husband called it a musical, I was like, oh, they have been singing for a while. It added to the story.
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah, it's a bit more of a now we throw a musical. That actually is like part of it, like the musical tones that they use is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, I knew I recognized it from somewhere. Is this a timeless piece?
I'm going to go with yes, from the perspective that there is nothing that really grounds it in reality. This could have been like from a century ago, almost.
I completely agree. There's nothing that will date it in the negative way, and yeah, it just feels like a timeless story.
Yep.
Would you turn this into a TV show?
I wouldn't. I mean, it could work, but it's like I wouldn't from the perspective that is you have like 4 episodes. It could be like a 4 ovas.
We should refine this question, because I wrote down yes for me, but I feel the same way. I feel like it could really work as a show. I still wouldn't do it, but
I mean, I wouldn't do it from the perspective that is I feel like having this as a single unit from the beginning to the end, it works better for the longing that he has. And just like selling the idea of it's a single night. If you actually split it like from 1 week to the next or 1 month to the next,
oh yeah,
it's going
that
to be
might
like,
not
hey,
work.
it's not the same night.
Yeah, I can see
So
that.
I don't think that it actually work.
Well, now I would change my answer, but I feel like that's cheating. But
No, you
you're
can
right.
always, yeah.
Could this have been a short?
I'm going to go sadly for the same reason with no.
Oh, interesting.
No, because I think that is like if you want to have like these 4 crazy stories, it's like I think that you still need more than an hour.
I agree that the 4 stories are important, but I think you could knock this out in 25 minutes. I feel like, and still get the same pleasure of the experimental.
So you tell me that basically is that you will have like each one of the acts it will be 7 minutes.
I would say 5 minutes with a 2-minute how many minutes did I get? 25 minutes? Yeah, 2.5 minutes intro, 2.5 minutes outro, 5 minutes a chapter. That's plenty.
That's plenty. Stop wasting time.
All right, could this movie have been better?
I'm going to say yes. I think that if the script was a bit better, like the ideas are good, but I think that if they had like better kind of development of some of the characters. I mean, not really. I mean, I'm just pissed about like the idea of the main character like just randomly falling in love with Senpai. And the underwear guy, I don't know how I feel about like that story with the other one that is like a transvestite.
It's like they were trying really hard to have threads that connected them all, and it didn't quite connect.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like the student council president, I think that it was.
Yeah.
He lies
or the
to
council of... yes, anyway.
Yeah, but he likes to dress as a woman, and he likes to actually just like make men fall for him into despair. They use like some kind of wording that my boyfriend said is like, that's a bit homophobic, I feel.
So that scene was super fast after the start. So like the movie started and it was about this girl who could drink a lot and about that transvestite, and I was like, what is Jose having me watch?
They only mention for a second that he likes to just dress as a woman. And then we had this guy that he never changed his underwear in the last year.
But out of protest.
No, because he thinks that he keeps like the same underwear, he will actually see that woman that he fell in love with last year.
I was actually very touched by his dedication to that woman with the
apple?
Yeah, the apple. I was going to say ball, but an apple hit both their heads.
Exactly, at the same time. And they fell in love.
Or at least he did. Ooh, is this movie about creepy men?
Probably, yeah. It's talking men. You're right. There is a bit of it.
So, I don't know what else there's to say. We've answered all the questions and we can score it unless you have closing thoughts.
No. I mean, it's good. I think that I need to score it. This was my pick, so you have to score it first.
I honest to God don't know how to score this. I'm going to say 6.5.
Okay. 6.5 for me is going to be a 7. I think that is a bit... I mean, I watched like a lot of anime back in the day. And I think that I like, albeit this is not perfect, I appreciated this as something that it wouldn't work in live action. It's like it uses the medium that it has.
Yeah.
If it's perfect, definitely not. But it's not like a glaring problem about like, dude, it's impossible to watch. Like, was like many movies that is like as long as I actually finish them, it's like I forget them. It's like I think that this, like with the pace that it has, like the stylized and the aesthetics, I think that is a step above.
I agree. And that's why I gave it more than a 5.
Well, you usually say that 6 is okay. 5 is...
Yeah, 5 is middle of the road, 7.5 is good.
Okay.
10
okay.
is La Ventura.
Okay, only La Ventura. That's fair. I'm in the mood for love.
And in the mood for love.
Okay. So, what are we watching next?
I'm actually going to give you 2 choices. You have to pick which way to die. There was an ancient civilization that did that. Like, if you committed a crime, you had to pick how you were punished. Anyway, you pick how you're punished, Jose. You can pick the Ingmar Bergman classic that I swear to God David Lynch has seen and borrowed from, called Hour of the Wolf. Or we can watch the Michael Haneke film Time of the Wolf, starring Isabelle Huppert.
So, you already, I had to say, like, for the audience, that you already presented like this to me and you told me don't check it out. And at that point, I already realized it's like one of them is Bergman's. I'm pretty sure that it's Bergman's. This bastard is like trying to make me watch.
You have to admit, after more than 200 episodes, I've made you watch like one Bergman film.
And we never record. And we never record for it. It was before we started Winter's Nights.
So I'm owed at least 2 Ingmar Bergman films.
Sure. Well, I don't know about that. At least one. Let's just leave it in one. And don't go with Fanny Alexander.
Damn it.
9 hours. No. But no, you presented with this, and what I thought this was like for David Lynch, we were completing like all of the movies, I think that we should be doing the same for Haneke.
I
One
agree.
of the few that I never watched, it was actually Time of the Wolf. So that's it.
And you know I'm happy to spend any amount of time with Isabel, so
That's true.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to say to all of our audience?
Just wash your hands.
Okay. Bye.